Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of E-Heroes. For those keeping count, this is episode 171. For those not keeping count, well, disregard what I just said because it doesn't really matter. But we're going to talk about the disappointment or the bitterness of failure because all of us as entrepreneurs, come across failure at least 100 times a year. I mean, I get failure all the time, but some of us know how to turn that failure around. And so I'm bringing on Kris Whitehead, who for me is this iconic legend of taking that bitterness of failure and turning it around. So welcome, Kris, and thanks for being here.
I appreciate you having me, Rob. And for anyone that is listening, um, hold on to your hat because we're not going to show you the shiny objects that make us wealthy. We're going to show you the underbelly of what actually produces success. And I'm grateful to finally talk to you about this, man.
One of the biggest failures I think that I had, and this is going back into my past lifetime when I had the cleaning business. I attempted to create a flooring store because having a carpet cleaning business and having selling carpet kind of went together, except it didn't for me. And I spent a lot of money. I had this. I figured I'd get this really cheap location because it was cheap and I had a lot of space, and well, the roof leaked. And one night the rain came in so bad, it put 6 inches of water all over our studio, flooded everything, ruined everything. The insurance says, okay, well, here's a check. I'm like, okay, great. 2 weeks later, it happened again because we couldn't get anybody out to fix it. And the insurance says, nope, we're not insuring you anymore. Your business, my business, the whole flooring store was ruined. My employee, actually, he considered himself a partner. He really wasn't. He stole half the stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, now I have half the stuff destroyed, the other half stolen. I have no flooring store. What do I do?
Not a sign.
And it was just, to me, it was like the worst moment, that I could face as an entrepreneur, everything being destroyed. And, but, I figured, you know what? It was kind of a godsend too, because I really didn't want to be in the business. I created it to complement the one business, but it was really kicking our butt.
Yep.
And most entrepreneurs, I think, when they would come into that situation, would feel so beaten down they would quit. And I kind of used it as one of those life lessons. And I say, well, you know what? That wasn't right for me. But I'm going to focus my efforts on turning the cleaning business around, which I did with the help of brilliant marketing and skills I learned from guys like Joe Polish and Dan Kennedy and Jay Abraham. And that really gave me the catalyst to keep on going, because when you lose all that kind of money, all you can do is go up.
You know, for me, I came out of college 13 credits shy of graduating. I quit because I got into an argument with the dean of computer science. Actually, not even him; it was his secretary. I was trying to get a freshman level class as a senior in computer science, and because of the seniors get to pick their classes earlier, but freshman level classes weren't open. So I needed a meeting to make it happen. And the downside was that my parents had decided they're not helping me with college anymore. So all this is on my dime. Well, this class is not offered in a summer class. So you have to take a whole semester. And back when I was in school, it doesn't matter whether you take one credit or 27, it was going to cost you the same amount
Right.
each semester. And so I needed to get this class in order to graduate. And I lived off campus about 10 miles away. I would park. You had special parking places. I would have to walk 2 miles to his office. And I sat down there, and the secretary would go, "Oh, sorry, he can't see you today." I said, "Okay, can I make another appointment?" And I did. Came in a second time. "Oh, he can't see you today." The third time, he was in his office, and I was sitting there, and I want to talk to him, and it's getting like time because the class had already filled up,
Mhm.
and I needed a special pass to get into it. And he's sitting in his office, and the secretary is sitting in her chair, and she goes, "He's busy right now. He can't see today." And I remember looking over and seeing his legs flailing around. And I said it loud enough. I said, you know what? If this were a business and I was paying his salary, which I actually am, I don't think I would do business with him anymore. Well, he overheard me, and that was the end of my meetings with him. And I decided that college wasn't for me, 13 credits shy of graduating. So, long story short, I parlayed that into a salesman's job at Radio Shack. And uh, within the first week of working there, 3 people quit because I was actually a pretty good salesperson, and they were really good at selling resistors for 50 cents and talking the whole time. And I was sitting there like, I knew one thing: I will make more money on this little report that they have the more people I do transactions with, because somebody will eventually want to buy a computer. Somebody will eventually want a cell phone. So if I just hustle, hustle, hustle. So I just brought in hustle, not complete ignorance, but working really hard. And I became the number one salesman. Those people quit the first week. I became the number one salesman in the Eastern region. And Rob, here's the hard part: I started getting this idea, is talking to the DM, and he's like, before I became a DM, I was a manager of a store, and I knew a storm was coming in, and we'd order pallets of these weather radios, and so I was like, wow, we're making spiffs, which are like little commissions on selling cell phones, because cell phones were brand new at the time, like me $10 every time we sell a cell phone. So if somebody comes in for a 50-cent resistor, you go, do you want a phone with that? And I wasn't that bold, like I didn't like that kind of sailing. It's kind of like bait and switch to me, but I definitely would say, hey, do you have a cell phone? Well, just know that we have, blah, blah, blah. And that would happen. And I was like, cool, I'm making a little bit of extra money. But no matter what I did, I couldn't make more than $25,000 a year working at that place. And then I moved from Charlottesville, Virginia to North Carolina to a flagship store. And I became the number one salesman there. And then I became a manager working 100 hours a week. And it just so happened that somebody in Amway, hooked me.
Mhm.
And I saw them draw those circles on the paper. And I was like, that sounds like residual income. I can do that. Well, what I didn't I then started going to meetings, and they would last until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to get up the next day, and I literally am working 100-hour weeks. And there are people in Amway they were white collar workers, but now they're becoming cleaners
Mhm.
at new construction houses just to have time to build their Amway business. And I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. So I remember quitting my job, and the DM was like, you shouldn't do that. You're going to regret it, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Quit my job, and I walked up to my wife, who happened to be the manager of a Ruby Tuesdays at the time. And I said, I'm going to quit my job. And she goes, well, why don't you just stay for the insurance? And I said, well, I can't because I've already quit. So, oops. And she said, well, what are we going to do? And I said, um, we're going to do remodeling. And she, what do you mean? And I was like, I really don't know. But you stay where you are in your job. First mistake. And I'm going to go build this thing. And it was a painful process. But what I learned from that is that when I saw that, and no offense to anybody that's working in corporate America, I'm glad you're smart enough. I was playing checkers and they played chess, and I didn't know how to say anything other than the way that I saw it. And I found out that you can offend people pretty easily in the higher ups. I mean, that was kind of the beginning of the story. That stayed true to me like my whole life. I'm almost 50 years old now, and I just tell more truth and less. And I'm more explicit with it than I used to be. But I realized it wasn't a game for me. And I saw the plastic Jesus smile, the suit, several $100,000 a year, but they weren't happy on the inside. And even though they were making that money, I was like, that's not me.
Yeah.
And I went out and I started working with my hands. I started flipping through this thing called the Yellow Pages Children, which we don't have anymore, but it was a literal book with people's addresses and phone numbers on there that own companies. And I started just dialing in the book. Do
Yeah.
you need somebody to help you? And finally, I met some people, and that was my first marketing. And for the next 8 years of building business, the number one thing was, how do I get more clients? And I was so ignorant, and it put me in a really desperate spot. I became a subcontractor, which in the construction world is not a pleasant place to be because you often get abused.
Yeah.
And then from there, we got our Class A license in Virginia, and then the recession hit, and I found myself moving 1,000 miles away up here to New Hampshire. and I worked for a top 50 remodeling company in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I learned all the things that I never knew anything about a real remodeling company. And but the problem is that he was only doing like maybe 4 million a year, and here I am 35, and I'm kind of like, okay, I make really good money, I make six figures a year, but I don't see, like, what if he sells the business? What if this or that's, like, and I'm getting older, and it's like it was hard enough for me to get this sales job because my resume literally said Radio Shack business owner. That is not a transferable skill to in you're 35. It's like you look like an idiot. So I was like, I really need to do something. So I started a remodeling company again, and that's when this whole thing around social media kicked in. And I realized that there were two ways to market. Um, Dan Kennedy, turning on a faucet for leads is not hard. Dan Kennedy proved that.
Right.
Direct mail, email marketing, online marketing, great. But I had a different modality that was I was attracted to, and it was inbound marketing. I thought, what if I could do enough videos, do enough writing, do enough something to let my potential clients know before they ever clicked on a button to give me a call, the kind of human I am. I wonder if that, like, I'm building no like trust with them. Well, Rob, I found out, dude, we don't pay any money for marketing. We are a multi-million dollar company now. I've never paid for a lead in remodeling. And I found out that attraction marketing works. And I've gone on to build four total companies with it.
Mhm.
And I realized, and I think this will be here forever, even the metaverse where we're going to. But if you can just share with people your truth, your core values. By the way, this is thousands of dollars worth of business advice for whoever's listening right now. Start with your core values,
Right.
build your SOPs around that, and start communicating what those core values are. Show you're winning, show you're losing, show what you're willing to do to make it better when you screw up, because it really does help people understand who you are. And then here's the funny thing: when they ring you up and when you show up at their door, be the same friggin' person that you were when you were on the videos.
Right.
80% of the heavy lifting has already been done for sales. They've already made the decision. And
Mhm.
all you have to then do is follow through with integrity what you said you were going to do, and business will grow from it.
Right.
Once I understood that, I was able to scale a company. And then I had to learn how to become the person, and like I am now. I work about 4 hours a month in our remodeling company because I have leaders doing everything.
Mhm.
And that freed me up to do more of what I wanted to do. And that's what I want to spend some time talking with you. For those of us that have been salty and have had the mistakes and have the war wounds from it, we get to reach back down into this entrepreneurial world and go, hey, don't be a dumbass like me. Let me show you what I didn't focus on that crashed my business of 8 or 10 years, what
Mhm.
I then started to employ. And let's build this foundation before we take off, so we don't end up getting the store that gets flooded. Because I don't say that you brought that to you, but I do believe God has kind of a way of saying, you put the cart before the horse.
Mhm.
Here's the result of that, and here's a better way, or where I really want you to be with it. And when I've helped, and we help thousands of clients now, when we help our entrepreneurs understand the first building blocks to put in place, it's amazing not how they avoid the problem, but how they don't allow that to slow them down. In fact, they start squeezing their fist tighter and going, I'm going to get it more. And that is what I wanted to do, because you and I both know this. As a business owner, I only eat what I kill.
Mhm.
So there is no check that I can just show up and put a day off and pretend like it doesn't matter. If I'm not pushing this needle forward, my family won't eat.
Right.
And because of that, we have to teach, especially in today's market, that the kids are kind of being taught that they can just stay home for a year and a half and get paid. That, by the way, that's going to come to an end too, everybody.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But we get to go to them and say, what do you believe in strongly enough that you're willing to continue to do what you have to do in order to not just survive, but to thrive?
Mhm.
And that's, I believe, our moral obligation as older people that have been in business for a long time, is say, let's shrink your timeline to get you to success more, not just financial, but with your faith, your family, your fitness, and your finances together, and you'll live a damn happy life. And the cool part is you're a free man or a free woman. You can do it however you want. want. I'm not here to tell you how to do that.
Right.
I just want to make sure that you're not putting a message out there called bait and switch, because
Yeah.
I've never resonated with it myself. And I know for a fact, because I've listened to a few of your telephone calls, I've read quite a few of your posts, some of your books. You have a very good time of holding people to integrity, whether whether they know they're in it or not.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and I love technology, but I also believe that it's become our crutch. It's also become that shiny object that people are gravitating to. When I try to teach people, kind of old school marketing and a mix of new school marketing, they're like, yeah, but all I need is this. This will make me all the money in the world. If you don't know how to use it, it's not going to make you squat. And if you're constantly on it, when are you actually going to get work done? I went into a grocery store the other day and I counted probably 30 employees that had these in their back pockets with their earphones on, jamming the music while they're working, and customers are trying to get their attention saying, "Can you get this?" Or, and I'm like, your business is going to fail if you let your employees use this 24 hours a day.
yep. It's one of the biggest regrets that I have. So my wife was a single mom for quite a while. She got divorced, and I was dating her. And because she was a single mom, because I was raised by one for quite a while,
Mhm.
my heart kind of goes out to them. And I knew that security was important, and these kids don't have their dad with them anymore. And I was like, okay, let's buy them some iPhones.
Mhm.
If it had had a 2-hour limit or only use in case of emergency, but I saw over the years where we would be sitting down to watch a movie at night, and because we have a daughter, we would be watching something that I certainly would not choose. Rob, you want to know one of the most painful things on earth is to work all day, to come home to watch your one television show. It's the one damn thing that you don't want to watch, and everybody else is on their cell phones and you're not, and you're just kind of like, what are we doing here, folks? And it is a pandemic. It's a real pandemic. It's not the same as this other one that we went through, but children have now been so indoctrinated into it. They're literally, we will not ever be able to take them out of it. But maybe what we can do is we can help teach them purpose through it.
Yeah.
And we can help them become better by teaching them old school. That's in quotes, everybody, for those that are listening to this. We can teach them old school methodologies that are foundational to living life, building business, building anything that you want. Because I believe at the end of the day, how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you never buy coaching from anyone and you listen to one friggin' thing I'm telling you right now, your life will be a direct correlation to you understanding what I just said. How you do anything is how you do everything. And the closer you get to understanding how all of that ties together, the more quote unquote success you will have in your life. And that's just the truth.
Yeah. I've been finding myself going back to some of the old time entrepreneurs, even Disney and Ford, and going back even further to, to the steel mills and the bankers, and I've been learning their history, and a lot of them, in fact, I would say 95% of them failed, and they
Yeah.
continued to fail. Like Milton Hershey, who had Hershey chocolate, went bankrupt multiple times before he formed Hershey chocolate. And it was those painful lessons. And I look at some of these entrepreneurs today, they're like, well, I don't want to fail. Just give me the easy bullet, just give me the easy button, because I can't, failing triggers me.
We teach fail forward quickly.
Yeah.
There, and I understand where people are coming from, because I didn't learn a lot of things early on in my entrepreneurial career. I didn't invest in marketing. I didn't invest in coaching. I didn't invest because my self-image was so low, to be quite honest with you, that I was really afraid I would be taken advantage of.
Hmm.
What I have learned is that alignment always trumps assignment,
Right.
which means go find people that are where you want to be in life, and whatever it costs to be around them, it isn't even necessarily information that's coming out of their mouth. Just watching how they interact with people, what they do, can be some of the most valuable things that'll ever happen. And the axiom is true. If you hang around five broke people, you're going to be the sixth. If you hang around five millionaires, you will be the sixth. And it has very little to do with the technical things that you're doing.
Yeah.
It has a whole lot to do with the mindset behind how people look at situations. And that literally takes time and presence in order to understand from someone. You can't osmotize that through a book or an if then go to thing. And I know the kids nowadays, they're like, well, I just push buttons and the app shows up. And it's like, and you're getting angry. I mean, this machine is talking to something like 800 miles up in the sky, downloading it back down to you, going across. Just be patient. The answer will come, you know. And it's because we do live in a microwave world and a popcorn world. And that's why I believe sometimes, like, I don't know about you, but I used to listen to a lot of how-to books.
Hmm.
Now I listen to a lot of biographies.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of people, like you're saying, that are going through these experiences because I'm now patient enough and slow my mind down enough to go, I can put myself in their shoes and go, think of Napoleon Hill. Do you know that man, what he really went through? Do you know he never realized the success that he wrote about so brilliantly in a book that is now like the number one Bible
Right.
for entrepreneurism? But the lessons that are in there, even when you see what he did with some of the lessons, that man went with $300. It wasn't even his own, used it on advertising, direct mail campaigns, got on a phone call, blew something up, made it work so the book could be written. And I'm not trying to, share anything that people don't, they can read. But the point is that someone who never quit, someone who kept finding a way, and if I can learn from your mistake without having to repeat it or without having to do it myself, that's wisdom.
You know,
And
and
you're not going to get it through how to's, you're going to get it through how comes.
right, and you're not going to get it from shiny objects. And I know so many entrepreneurs are saying, "Well, Rob, if I download this app or put it on here or do this, things are going to be better." No, things are not going to be better. Most times, it's going to overcomplicate what you're already doing. Just learn to simplify your own process. Because if you can simplify things down to a point where if you leave and you bring someone on to replace you, that person can pick it up within 5 minutes.
Now you own a
That's
business.
yeah,
You're not self-employed anymore. You actually own a business when that happens.
right.
And you're absolutely right. I was actually talking to one of my guys here in Iconic, and I was talking to a client today, a similar subject. Our goal is not to add more things to our thing. Our goal is to actually create less so that it has more impact. Because why? As you teach thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, do you think they're not going to misinterpret things and add their own stuff to it? And we're going to literally have to go, look, there's only 3 steps to this thing. So seriously, it's 3 whole steps to becoming wildly financially successful in your life. And you'll go, it's like the game password. At the end of it, it's like, you said 360, didn't you? No, no, no. I said three. And we have to keep doing that. But that means that we're becoming better.
Yeah.
When we can take that machine and we can make it that had 500 parts and make it eventually only have 5, we'll know one of 5 to fix and we'll do it quicker. And that's what technology should allow us to do. But we're human,
Hmm.
so if we can figure out how to turn ourselves into a pretzel, I think the 2 things I've realized about people is when they are confused, they will do one of 2 things. The first thing they will do is confuse themselves more.
Hmm.
And the second thing they do is they will stop.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's all because they were not driven by a deeper purpose with what they're doing and had to get to a goal. For you and I that are salty veterans at this thing, I didn't have a choice. I had to make the money. And yes, I was not always in integrity. I was not always the best at what I did. I sometimes charged people money and could not really relate it to a P&L and why we were charging what we charged. But I became aware of it. And over time, I started making those things work. I just want to help people know that there are those of us out here who can truly help you, who give more value than what we take, so that you can learn to give more value than what you take, so that maybe 1,000 years from now, our world is actually here and we haven't blown it up or used it up or whatever. And we don't have to politicize that whole thing. It's just, look, we have 8 billion people now.
Mhm.
Not that long ago, we had 2 billion people. This is only going one direction, folks, and it is, and we're not making less of them, we're making more of them.
I
So
know.
we have to learn how to become more efficient. Whether that means we live on Mars or in a space shuttle or whatnot, you and I won't know that probably. But
I
I
hope
do.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't. I
But
like her.
but here's the thing, what we're doing, what you're doing, what I'm doing, what a lot of entrepreneurs are trying to do is build that legacy. That next generation is going to learn from us.
Yeah.
Whether they learn good things or bad things, they're going to take those lessons and say, "Hey, look, what Rob taught me or what Kris taught me is going to make my business better." I
And
hope.
anybody can add value based upon who they are, how you perceive something. But before you get to be on stage and scream it out at everybody, you got to prove that it works.
Mhm.
Wink, wink to the shiny object selling people out there. Like, can you please prove that it actually works for the majority before you get your one case study that was your mom who you gave it to for free? It's just, it blows my mind, man. I will tell you this, you that are listening to this don't have to worry about it if you're serious about what you're doing. You might get taken advantage of once or twice, but you're going to learn damn quick
Mhm.
and you will never have to worry about it. It's the majority of people that want to figure out how to get the diet pill.
Right.
There is no diet pill, there's a diet, there's working out. Well, that's
Mhm.
not fun. Who said it was supposed to be fun? When we learn that we do things because what we're doing today will manifest in 90 days plus. The results that you're getting today, Mr. or Mrs. Listener, are based upon actions you took a long time ago.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you want a different result, do something different and be patient enough to let the plant grow to get some fruit on it. And don't eat the plant.
it's
Eat
the
the fruit.
long game.
Yeah,
And
man.
and people forget about that. They think, well, Rob, if I hit the ball, I can start running, right? Not necessarily. I said, you forget about the long game. It's not a 15-minute game. It could take 5 years, 10 years. My case, 27 years. I've been an entrepreneur. You know, your time will come. Sometimes it may not be today or tomorrow or next week or next year, but when it does, you'll know it.
Do you know Teddy Roosevelt's the man in the arena?
No, I
Okay.
mean I know the name. Just
So Teddy Roosevelt has a quote out, and I actually have that quote. As soon as you come into our offices for Iconic, the glass doors, and it's on the wall. It says, "The man in the arena." It says, "Is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." When you're committed to whatever it is you're doing, you do it because it's what you're called to do. You don't do it for the result. What happens when you do that with purpose is the result will show up. I don't know when.
right.
You're never going to know when. And any moron that's going to tell you exactly when is lying to you.
Mhm.
But I do promise you this: if you do it with integrity, if you do it with truth, if you do it with value first, and that's the only thing that'll give you the tenacity to last that process of pain and failure, in due course, you're going to get better. And in the process of getting better, you're going to start getting the results. And my God, I hope you become grateful when they show up. In fact, I hope you become grateful through the failure because you realize you're learning and you're becoming a man or a woman of substance. That's what matters in the end, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. When I became an entrepreneur, in the first business, it was all about fame and fortune, you know?
Me too.
And within 9 months, a year, the business failed, crashed and burned big time. The second business, it took me another 6 years before I started the cleaning business. Again, I thought, hey, this is going to give me, you know, financial whatever. I mean, and it took 3 or 4 years before it started to do that, you know. And then along the way, I had some, hiccups. I had the flooring store. I had, tried to do other things, didn't work out. You know, it wasn't until I took the knowledge that I learned putting that business together, all the failures, all the experiences, and created the coaching business, started, educating people, writing books, doing podcasts, doing all this other stuff, and it takes time. Even the videos take time. But people say, well, Rob, that's too much effort. I don't want to do all that. I just want to press a button. Life's not about pressing the button. There's a lot of hardship. You got to take it. You got to do it. You got to put the work in.
Yep.
And now I'm at this point where I'm like, you know, years ago I would look at my bank account like everybody else and say, wow, I have 400 or 500 bucks. I'm lucky. And the average person out there probably only has about 400 or 500 bucks, enough for one emergency. Now I'm glad that over the years I've had enough socked away that if something happened to me, we can go years and years without having to worry about money coming in. And to me, that's financial freedom. But it took a long time to get here. But the next chapter in my life is going to go. It's going to get quicker. It's going to get better. It's going to, and to me, it's always about encouraging myself, motivating myself to just get out of bed, show up, and help people.
I'm telling you, man, I remember when I was maybe 20,
I
19,
can't I
something.
can't remember that far back.
Okay. I can almost remember what that guy looks like. But I remember when I was 19 or 20, at one point I was in college and I was like, man, I think I might clinically be depressed. Like something's wrong. And I'm not taking this away from anybody that has that. I believe that it's real. Um, but what I found out for me is I was just bored.
Yeah.
I didn't have a purpose behind why I was doing anything. And so anything and everything was okay. There's a movie out there that Dustin Hoffman did called Little Big Man.
Hmm.
And the premise of the movie is that he was an Indian, and those Indians called themselves humans. But Little Big Man was an Indian that came into the white man's world, and he did Bible sales, he did snake oil sales, all these different, and he was being taken advantage of the whole time. And by the end of the movie, he's 105 years old. And the whole experience was him going around his elbow to get to his butt to figure out that he was just human. And I'm telling you, I invested so much time trying to find shortcuts that if I'd have just done the hard work early on, we would have been there so much quicker. And that's what's funny for us that are a little bit older. We look at all these people trying to find the shortcuts and we're like, yeah, that's the shortcut to nowhere. I just want to educate people on that by getting them to think a little bit more before they act. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because the message isn't out there. The prevalent message is for $999 will give you the easy button.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is there is a marketing platform that's been up your bottom and in your head for about 1.5 years selling you the idea so that you say it easy yes. When I really stood back and saw that, I was like, that's attraction marketing. They're programming people. I can do the same thing. And if I can do that with integrity and lay my head down at the night, and I know my children would see that and not think that I'm a jerk when they wake up one day, we can also live a great life. And I'm here to tell you, so can you. All you have to do is what Rob said. You do the videos. What do I talk about? Whatever comes to mind.
Yeah.
How about your core values? How about what you believe in? How about you interview people? Maybe write a book. Maybe write some post on social media, hit a theme and stay with it.
Mm-hmm.
And my gosh, you don't have to go politically crazy left or right or whatever religion you have left or right. You can stay right where you are and talk about what's important to you. And guess what? You're going to attract people to you that are just like you. And if you have something to offer them, It's not hard once they know you. If you drop in my DMs and try to sell me something and I don't know who you are, I'm going to send you to Rob because I know what he'll do to you.
They're going to book.
We're going to plaster you in eternity for that.
Yeah.
But
And the funny thing about what I do, I mean, and this goes out to everybody. Use your personality. Your personality is your brand. And I forgot about that for a long, long time until I finally said, enough's enough. I'm very sarcastic in what I do. Does that make me right? Does that make me left? It doesn't matter. It connects me with the people that want to be like me, or want to be closer to me.
yep.
And the whole Rob versus series is, and you call it attraction marketing, I call it rejection marketing, because what it does, if you don't like sarcasm, you're never going to call me. But if you like the books and you enjoy and you laugh and well, I need this guy, I need this marketing in my life, I need Rob, you're going to pick up the phone and call me. I've made more money on the Rob versus books than all the other books because it makes people laugh.
Yep.
And right now, we need more laughter.
Into
and,
that.
and people are like, "Oh, Rob, you're so funny." I'm like, I can be when I want. If I walk into a room, they say if you walk into the room and you're the smartest one, go to the next room. I walk into the room and I make fun of everybody that's in there. So that's just me. But I love interviewing people like you, people who've done what done. Not just made money, but had an impact on people's lives. Because to me, it's not about the money. It's not about the house. It's not about the cars. And if you're the one of the guys that are out there standing next to your Lamborghini taking pictures, oh, look, nobody cares. Okay.
Right.
It's about the impact that you leave on someone else's life.
I'll tell you something, man. This was a major, major revelation for me. Back in Virginia, I belonged to a country club. And we were on like one, two, three, the fifth tee box. And it was a really straight par four. It was like, I don't know, maybe 405 yards or so. And I got up to the tee first because I had won the last hole. And dude, I don't know what happened, but I cranked it. It went like 360 yards. It was one of those tee shots that just kept going up and up. And it was like, I was like, wow. And I remember being so proud of myself because number one, I went first. Number two, I just looked like a badass, right? So I turn around, and for those of you all that don't know, I'm 6'2", 215 pounds. I'm a big dude. I turned around, and the next guy up to the tee box, his name was Rich, or Rick, excuse me. He was a dentist, and he was like 5'7", 5'5", something like that. And I remember Rick going, "I'm really glad I'm hitting after you." That was the first comment. I remember Dan, who was in the military, 6'8". Dan was just squeezing his golf club like, "Whitehead, you're not going to beat me." And I don't remember the last guy's name, but I remember the last guy's name that was up to the tee, and the look on his face, Rob, he was like a white ghost, like, crap, I just don't even want to be here. And in that moment, I realized the only person that cared about me hitting a ball 360 yards was me.
Mm-hmm.
And it started to change my perspective on, dude, it immediately alienated me from every one of those people I was playing golf with. And I was like, I mean, it doesn't help. So I started to learn over time that my success, that's for me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can use it to encourage you to do something, great. But at the end of the day, nobody really gives two shits about what I'm doing, who I am. If I fall and die in a puddle, it doesn't matter. And that won't matter how many millions of dollars I make or how popular I am or what a da da da. I had somebody ask me the other day in a podcast, Kris, what do you want to be remembered for? And I told them straight out, I don't really care what I'm remembered for. I'm not doing it for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean that with all of my heart. 3 generations from now, they probably won't ever remember my name. But that has nothing to do with why I'm building a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the right damn way to live our lives.
Right.
And we, especially entrepreneurs, I believe should get together, the ones that believe in the same things, And we should create that movement because otherwise the earth is going to hell in a handbasket. I mean, it's friggin' obvious.
Yeah.
So somebody has to stand up, and you do it your way. I do it in a heart-centered way. And I'm a big alpha male, so I show them the softer side. You sarcastic the hell out of people. Neither one is right or wrong.
Right.
It's meant for different people so they can hear the same message. And here's the best part. There are 8 billion people as we speak on earth. I think I can go find my 1,000 or two and not worry about competing with you. It's going to be just fine, man.
Yeah.
So let's help each other win instead of trying to compete with each other to the bottom. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
And I'm just hoping that somebody listening to your message today says, I want to be a part of that. Good. Contact Rob and talk to him. And if he can't help you because he's not the right person, you know what he'll do if you're sincere? He will link you up with somebody that can. And that's why I'm willing to get on this podcast with you, because I know you stand for the same things I do.
Oh,
And that's important to me, man. It's
I,
really important to me.
I'm always connecting people to somebody because, if I can't help somebody, somebody else can. Why say no to somebody? Because it's going to come back around.
The law of reciprocity works just fine.
So how do people find you?
Easiest way to find me if you want to talk to me is go on Facebook. I'm the Kris Whitehead, KRIS. And no, that was not for my ego. It was just the only one that was left. I'm official Kris Whitehead on Instagram, or you can come to either one of my websites, iconicalliance.com or chriswhitehead.com. And if you want, you can go to Amazon and check out a book. It's like $10. It's Becoming Iconic, How to Make Today's Ceiling Tomorrow's Floor. And I talk about more of these kinds of concepts in that book for entrepreneurs. And it's a #1 best-selling book in like 12 different categories. And I was really blessed that my first book, made it to #1. So if it helps somebody out, there's ways in there they can reach me too. And I really
Exactly.
appreciate you having me here, brother. I really
My
do.
my first book made it to #1. Second book made it to #1. Third book didn't. Now I'm on like book 33, and I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Doesn't even matter anymore.
No,
Well,
it's
the funny thing is when it first made it to #1, I was like, great. And then I realized that 3,000 copies sold made me a whopping $60, I think. And I was like, well, I don't think it's the book where I'm going to make my money. But what started happening is people started passing it around.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, man, it's what's in it that matters.
Yeah.
It's not even about making money on it. It's if it encourages somebody. And I remember being that guy reading through the books, just going, is there something in here that can help me change? And what often helped me, and I bet this is for you too. Why do you use the sarcasm? Why do you lift it up? It's because you're trying to polarize the difference between the right way
Mhm.
and the wrong way. So if I rub your nose in the wrong way, maybe you'll remember that the opposite of that's the way you ought to do it. And it doesn't matter if you're #1 at that point. Right?
And with every story I share in the book, I always end it with some type of life lesson that they can at least take with them. So they're going to laugh, and then they're going to go, oh, is that what he meant?
That's brilliant, man.
So, it's, you know, we're all about leaving a legacy, but whether you leave it in a positive way or negative way, it's up to you. I prefer that you do it in a positive way, but do it in your own way. I mean, so it just be iconic, just like Kris. So take that with you, and then get Kris's book, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Adios.